Welcome to Crypto Posse, episode 14. Today we've got some really awesome topics to bring up, including Elon Musk and XRP making waves, recent major delistings, catching early trends. But before we do that, I want to check in with the Posse and see what you guys did over Memorial Day weekend.
Life's good. I had a great time this weekend hanging out with family. Got an opportunity to go to a carnival. Took my kids, had a really good time.
Awesome. That does sound fun. Perfect Memorial Day kind of stuff.
Fun in the sun, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, now.
For me, it was pretty mellow. I just kind of ate a bunch of food, relaxed. I enjoyed the thunderstorms last night. That's about the best of it that I had.
Yeah, those thunderstorms were incredible. We felt them all the way over here. I know you guys were going at it. Yeah, that was good. I'm pretty sure if I know you hit the gym as well. Is that right, Jeff?
Yeah, I went every day. Today's my day off.
No rest for the wicked.
I had a pretty good weekend. I got some surfing. We got a little rain up here in Ventura County as well. I know you guys are down in Orange County, but yeah, we got a little bit of rain and surf was pretty good over the weekend. Got some pretty good waves and yeah, it was pretty awesome.
I like the sounds of all of that, really. I think the thing is we're spanning multiple counties here too, right? I'm Orange, Mike, you're Ventura, and you guys are out in IE. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Riverside County, right?
Riverside County.
Yeah, well, we're right on the edge. We're on
Yeah.
right on the edge of San Diego, Riverside, and Orange. It's kind of like, we're not deep Riverside. Thank goodness. No offense. But
Yeah, no offense, Riverside. But bottom line is,
You guys are like country bumpkins compared to Deep Riverside.
totally.
Yeah, sure.
Whoa. Yeah. Yeah, well, let's jump into some topics. Let's get the episode rolling. Glad to hear you guys had such an awesome Memorial Day weekend. I did as well. Yeah. Let's do this.
Yeah, so obviously XRP has had a lot of hype around it lately. If you go on YouTube, you see posts, stating the price could reach, $8, $10, $1,000, $100. There's all kinds of, hype around XRP. There was a supposed post from Elon Musk that I thought was interesting over the weekend that said hashtag XRP has potential. And then 20 seconds later, supposedly it was deleted off X. So, immediately people scrambled and tried to find the screenshot of the post, and nobody could really come up with the screenshot. So, there's rumors of whether it was him or whether it was just somebody trying to hype XRP again. In the past, there's been, rumors circulating about a partnership with XRP and potentially Elon Musk investing $104 billion into XRP, which, ended up not being the case. So, the likelihood of him actually posting this is probably not that strong. And it's probably just somebody trying to hype the price of XRP.
I see. And apparently it kind of worked to some degree. It created a little bit of a buzz.
I don't know if it's from this hype from Elon, or we did have the XRP conference as well. So there was some notable, things that came out of that conference that I wanted to touch on a little bit later. But we did see XRP break that 220 resistance, and it's holding now as, that 220 becomes support now. And even with Bitcoin, fluctuating in price from like 107, I think today it was down to like 104. It's still holding the 220. So, it had a little bit of, price increase, but nothing real notable.
Huh. Okay, so it really didn't in any way go bonkers over that potentially fraudulent post. Is that, or text or whatever it was? But who knows? What do you guys think about that?
I kind of feel like all these tweets nowadays just aren't getting the results with the public as they did, because there's been so many, and they kind of see what's going on with the landscape of everything, and where they try to pump certain coins, and whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP. So I just feel these tweets whether it's the president, Elon, or whomever high profile, they're just having less effect on the public of, pumping these up. It's kind of a little lackluster.
Kind of sounds like people have gotten a little used to it and they're not buying the hype.
That's a really solid point too. And you can see it too with the tariffs. At one point it was like the talk of the town, and it's still being talked about, but the retail a normal retail investor is not, like you said, reacting to the news as much. Why? Because this is a big game of chess, and the people at the top have to formulate a different move to get the reaction that they're looking for, which is it's simply this. It's there to distract you. That's it. Because if you weren't distracted, then you'd be able to follow the money and you'd be able to make some very wise financial decisions in your life.
Is it also possible, along with that the audience is somewhat desensitized?
Exactly. Simply put.
Which happens with a lot of things. Media now is so pervasive. I think it just easily whitewashes things so fast that when at first it's just like, and then all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, who cares next? I mean, it's like a news cycle. You see a huge story and it's like, wow. And then but hey, it's going to be not on the feed next week because we need something new to keep you, it's just people have short attention spans as well. And it's coming from 1,800 different outlets. So people just get desensitized because, but anyway, I think the point's been made. So anyway, more about this Elon Musk and XRP making waves. I mean, is that kind of a moniker, in a sense of like where things could be headed as a result of that? Maybe it didn't cause this big hype, in the last, couple days or whatever. But what do we think about that in like a bigger picture way?
Well, I think something noteworthy really that came out of the XRP conference, which I think would be much more substantial to, XRP, would be the fact that there was a well-known journalist and XRP community voice, guy named Vincent Scott, who took to X to declare what he believes was the most groundbreaking moment of the conference. And that was he pinned down David Schwartz, the chief technical officer of XRP, and asked him a question. Is XRP building the constitutes of a financial system where the unit of account is RLUSD? It transmits over the decentralized method of payment, the XRP ledger, and uses XRP as either gas or a money processor to convert. And Schwartz answered the question with an unambiguous yes. So he does believe that, they have built a financial system and it aligns effectively and mirrors the components of a fully fledged system. Something that all blockchain projects can't claim, and Ripple's three-step essential three-step element to this financial system would be the units, rails, and conversion mechanism. So that I think is pretty exciting if you really look at it, that Ripple has what it takes to succeed in these cross-border transactions, and potentially even replacing the SWIFT system, which is, the old legacy system that's, old, tired, and failing basically. It's too slow. So I believe that XRP is aligned and could be one that could take over, the cross-border transactions with this system.
Well, I just got to add to this, just to preface, we are the Crypto Posse, 4 dudes, self-taught, nothing more, nothing less. And as we've proceeded forward now on episode 14, we found ourselves in a spot where it seems like my boy Mike Erickson, part of the Crypto Posse, has found himself in a spot where he kind of takes market news weekly, because look what he just did. I mean, that was a great example of why Mike is kind of, really showing us market news, because I was Awesome info. I mean, that was just really informational, and you're just kicking ass for the posse, mister. What do you guys think about
I
what he just
appreciate it. I
said?
appreciate it.
No, we appreciate it, but thank you very much. What do you guys think about what he just said? Because I'm just,
Well, I like XRP, and I think out of the top five, between Ethereum, Bitcoin, Cardano, BNB, XRP would be my favorite investment. I think it's simple in utility, but I think, it's not doing much right now, but I think in the near future, it has the best room for growth.
and that seems to be generally considered by people that I talk to out in the field, whether I'm at the beach or the gym or wherever. People literally come up to me that know me and like, "Are you in on XRP, mister?" I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, who says no to that? You know what I mean? Like, it does seem to be universally accepted. The question is, or not the question, but I guess we're all just waiting to see it happen. We hope we got a fat stacks involved with it so we can get the ching ching, the cashish, the payola. Let's do this.
Yeah, and I guess the question is, if it did make a 300% run, so if you were a buyer in at 50 cents, you obviously would be looking good right now. But, at 220, where is it going to go from here? Will could probably touch on some of the technicals and what the chart's looking like for XRP.
You're damn right he could, and I feel like he's just chomping at the bit to do it.
Just got to take a deep breath for a moment. You guys got me a little hyped up. I've been in this space since 2018. I've been talking about XRP when it was uncool to talk about XRP. And people, looking at me and making jokes. Well, guess what? Mike already pulled the information right out of my mind. I was an early investor earlier. I bought the majority of my XRP under 50 cents. And I want to share some fun facts because I come from a place where people used to tell me not to invest into XRP for their reasons. But this is a classic saying that I like to share, especially revolving around XRP. Don't hate it. Don't date it. Trade it. It is the best trader's coin on the planet. And what's crazy is you could bring up all these different partnerships and all of this that's being built in the background on XRP's ledger. But as mentioned, there's a lot of times when it doesn't even move price. And then out of nowhere, it has this explosive move. Why? When you look at the chart and you see the sideways price action for 7 years, and then when the SEC went after XRP, people were fearful, and I bought the fear, and it dropped, and the rest is history. So when it comes to XRP, yeah, they are making huge waves because I just found out recently, as of last night, I was reading this article where we have Bitstamp, which is a pretty big exchange, and big, I mean by trading volume, the amount of money that goes in and out of this exchange, is in collaboration with Ripple, XRP, to acquire these exchanges. So you've got this juggernaut XRP, which the company is Ripple. You've got this ripple effect making these waves in the industry. And look at, they're becoming this juggernaut, acquiring these big other companies behind the scenes. Massive, massive for what they're trying to do. And whether they just do the payment rails and move money around, which I've done for pennies on the dollar, I think to the point that Mike said, I think what XRP really does best is I hear a lot of talk about the Swift payment system being replaced. I think what XRP is here to do is to bridge that old system to make it faster. And they're doing a really good job at doing that. And last fun fact, they're also in bed with the IMF, International Monetary Fund. That is the tippy top of the financial system. And they're going to their summits and they're in the same rooms as these people.
XRP in bed with the IMF?
Yeah, Brad Garlinghouse, which is the CEO of Ripple, the company, and XRP is the native currency of Ripple, is going to these G20 summit conferences with the biggest people at least in the financial world, all in the same room. That's making a wave, if you ask me.
Yeah. And then when you said that, I just got to say, as you guys know, I'm a very visual thinker. So I had this funny thought of, what that would look like in a piece of art. Okay. But I mean, such powerful implications as things come together with XRP and Ripple and everything that it's connecting with and the services that it provides. And I don't care what anyone says, but I think wherever, even if it's around $2, I think it's still extremely undervalued in the big picture. I mean, good on you, mate, to be getting it in at 50 cents. Hey, but the bottom line is I just think that's not anywhere. We're going to look back at Bitcoin or something like that and just go, yeah, I mean, guys that came in at like, what is this? They say 1,000, 5,000, 10,000. I mean, at the time that was like, ooh, but I mean, look back now and it's still gangbusters, I just really feel like it's an exciting time. That's great subject, Mike, to come in with today. And your guys' feedback on it is incredible. And I think it's maybe time to switch gears and tap into the next subject here on episode 14 of Crypto Posse.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of recent delistings of tokens on exchanges recently, and it's a normal in the crypto space, but I've seen an uptick the last couple months. And Coinbase, for one, delisted 4 tokens on June 26th. And one was Ribbon Finance, Helium Mobile, Synapse, and one called Rendering. And I actually bought Ribbon Finance about 3 weeks ago because it was moving pretty good, just day traded it. So it's kind of interesting for me to see that they delisted it. Binance delisted 14 tokens as well, a lot of smaller tokens. And for me personally, it's kind of nice to clean the space up with these, smaller tokens and cryptos that really, they're either not complying, they're just not doing anything. And for me personally, I'd rather look at 1,500 tokens than 3,000. Just, we're kind of cleaning up the space a little bit.
Someone's sweeping the floor. Is that what it is?
Yeah, it's kind of about time, because I know Trump came in and, pumped up crypto, and I think just, everybody just started making coins, and it's just kind of got a little bit out of control. So it's good that we have that. Gate.io delisted 33 tokens, so they've done the most so far. And there's reasons for why this is happening, and regulatory compliance is one. Another would be low trading volume. It's just they're kind of inactive. Nobody's buying them. They're probably not selling them either.
Is that what delisting means? Basically, it's like, beat it, kid.
Yeah, they just take it off the exchange, and hopefully the better exchanges will give you a little bit of fair warning. So and we'll get into that in a second of how that's done. And then security concerns too, so they delist a token to protect the user, whether from fraud or pump and dump or any type of security that could come with the token on the exchange that you would put into your wallet. So there's liquidity issues as well. So if, like, say you're trading on Coinbase or Binance and they delist it, if you're holding that token on the exchange, it's harder than it would be if it was in your wallet. So you're better holding tokens in your wallet rather than on the exchange for that reason. Because if the exchange delists it, at least you can use your wallet and sell that token on another exchange. So that's another thing as a user that you want to think about. And then you also, when you're going on, whether it's Coinbase, Binance, always look at their news and their updates, because that's where you'll see that they're going to possibly be delisting, or they will suspend a token. And when they suspend it, it means that it's kind of hit the criteria where they're thinking about delisting it. And what they'll do is they'll just change to where you can only limit order or limit buy the token, and it kind of slows it down. And that's kind of when you see that's kind of a red flag. I probably shouldn't buy it because with that, just the news of a delisting or a suspension, well, guess what you're going to get? They call it volatility, but I call it crashing.
I see. So it would be a good time also to not buy, but would it also be a good time if you had previously bought to get the hell out?
You definitely want to do that. And then, that brings up a point of why you always want a reputable exchange. So, because they're the ones that their criteria is higher and they're protecting the user, the buyer, the investor. So they're not, offering crap coins basically.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, give me a couple reputable ones and maybe a couple irreputable ones if you don't mind putting yourself in the hot spot like that.
I mean, I always use Coinbase, Binance US is good. Will turned me on the Blowfin. I liked Blowfin. I have eToro. I don't really care for eToro. To me, they've delisted a lot of coins through the years when crypto kind of tanked in 2019 and 2021. They delisted a lot of tokens. So I kind of had to scramble, and I just personally just put everything in Ethereum. But they're a pretty big trading company. Robinhood's gotten a lot better. They actually relisted a lot more tokens, for crypto, and they also do regular trading. The cool thing about that is I know they have a major upgrade coming too on their trading platform, but the thing with Robinhood is you could go from crypto to stock, and that's pretty cool.
And what about on the other side of it? Any red flag ones you'd feel comfortable saying, run for the hills?
Not really off the top of my head because I'm not using them. I'm trying to think where well, I mean, I have to say, so MetaMask is a wallet which you can trade inside that wallet. It was great a few years ago, but MetaMask to me, it's not an exchange, it's a wallet, but I just wanted to put it out there. I'm just not that happy with it. I don't know what you think upon that, Will, but for me, it's really expensive to trade, and I'm just not happy with it. It's kind of quirky now.
It's interesting, man, because you've got MetaMask, right? Where MetaMask to me allows me to trade a lot of these what we consider a pump and dump coin before it gets to the major exchange because they got to start somewhere. So they're more than likely going to start on a DEX, which is a decentralized exchange. Then you're going to take your hot wallet, you're going to connect to that exchange, and then you're going to do swapping of these coins that are not listed. And that's kind of how you catch like an early trend. But the way that it works out now is that you're right. So MetaMask is going to cost you a lot more in fees to trade to get these coins. Why? Because they're not on an exchange. Some of them don't ever make it to an exchange, but if they do, then you got to kind of back engineer this whole process, just like what you said. So now this, whatever coin it is, makes it to a big exchange like Coinbase. You've got the regulations that you talked about. You've got the liquidity that you talked about. And if that coin or project is not being traded, nobody's investing into it, well, what's the exchange going to do? They're going to delist it. And then that to me is a perfect signal, a GTFO moment. Get the freak out. It's a signal. Why? Because they're delisting it for these reasons that we just spoke about.
Yeah, do you remember years ago when we were trading and you got me into MetaMask, and you would always go to MetaMask into Uniswap, which we set up for myself. And at the time, it was a little confusing for me. But then I actually traded Interwallet MetaMask, and we compared the fees. And I remember one time, I said, "Look, it's actually cheaper trading, inside the wallet." But now that's far from that. Like, I mean, I own probably 20 things in MetaMask, which I'm gonna clean up, move, sell, kind of reconfigure. But it's really hard, at least to day trade with MetaMask because your fees are just through the roof.
100%. And I don't think, don't quote me on this, because there are some DEXs out there, these decentralized platforms that now allow you to place limit orders which is me putting an order through the books that's sitting there. And then once price strikes that level, it will either get me to enter a position or it could be a take profit where it's getting me out of the position. And that's the one thing I really like about exchanges is I could set it, forget it, and let the market do whatever the market's going to do without me staring at a screen all day.
Heaven forbid. I mean, how cool is that? You get to just kind of set it, forget it, and go cruise and, go do some other stuff. I mean, that's pretty awesome.
It's freaking rad. I mean, there's been times where I'm following the market. I got this crazy story where a week before XRP pumped, and it was like July 13th, my phone starts blowing up because everybody knows I'm all about XRP. My friends know I'm invested in it. It's like they were the indicator to the XRP price moving before I saw the chart. And then 2 days later, I go to my computer with a limit order that I set. I forgot about it. Not really forgot, but the point that I'm trying to make. I set it, I let it be. And I'm talking like I set this order and I'm not even BSing anybody, including myself, probably about 6 months prior to the price hitting that point. Again, I'm a technical analysis, so I know what I'm looking for. But imagine setting an order, coming to your computer, and then when you open up your computer, you got an extra six figures sitting there.
Damn! Oh, hell yeah.
Let's go, baby.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, my gosh. Switching over, Will, I feel like you're on a roll right now, and let's roll right into your topic this week.
Man, let's flow with it. What's beautiful, and I love the whole flow of this episode because it all makes sense from what Mike said to what Jeff flowed to. And what I'm going to present today is how to catch early trends. And there's so many different little nuances to do that because of technology. There's AI websites that you can go to where you could see on-chain data and you can look into wallets and you can see what whales are buying, what they're selling. That's one way to catch an early trend is, if a whale's buying it and it's big money. And as an example, let's just say we're following World Liberty Finance, which just so happened to be Donald Trump's son's company. So now I'm following this wallet. I'm seeing what they're doing. I catch this early trend and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're buying into this. I do a little bit of research. Boom. I become a minnow because I'm not on that billionaire status yet. And then I just catch the move with them. That's just one of few ways to do it. But what I'm presenting today is an opportunity to really follow where the money's going because money doesn't disappear, it transfers. So where's this money going? I think an early trend to catch, and let me know if you guys have seen this too, is, this business relationship between World Liberty Finance and the ex-CEO of one of the biggest, if not the biggest exchange in the world, Binance. His name is CZ. And now CZ's, spent a little bit of time for some, what do you call it? Is it a white collar crime when it has to do with money, right?
I do believe it's white.
So,
but we should probably call it green.
right?
Should probably call it green collar crime, but yeah.
Exactly. So he commits this green collared crime. He pays the time. He gets out. And now look what's happening is here, I'm going to bring up stable coins yet again. So you've got, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but what's the stable coin that Trump's dealing with right now? It's
USD1.
USD1. Thank you. And what USD1 is doing is, and this is it's interesting because talk about this a couple weeks ago and you can call it a conspiracy theory. But let's look at the facts. Let's look at the figures. Let's look at the data. What the data is showing is that World Liberty Finance is going to be putting on a meme coin competition. And then these little puzzle pieces, right? Puzzle piece number two would be what chain are they doing that on? Well, they're doing that on the Binance Smart Chain, BNB. So now you've got CZ big in the industry, working behind the scenes with the Trump family. They're going to be doing this competition, and then guess what stablecoin they're going to be using?
USD1.
USD1.
Wow.
So catch this early trend, realize that they're going to be pumping money into this stablecoin. Look at really good projects that are on Binance Smart Chain. Maybe put a little bit of money, right? Because meme coins are gambling if you don't know what you're doing. But if the RR is there, which is risk to reward, if I'm willing to risk $1,000 to make $10,000, sign me up every single day. That's good risk.
Who's going to disagree with that, ladies and gentlemen?
And that's how you really keep ahead of the game. You just follow the money. And that's how you're able to catch these early trends. And when you position yourself in these early trends, that's where, like we're saying, that's where the cash is really made. That's where freedom becomes the result. And that's how I live my life. Money is simply the tool, but my goal is freedom. And I get to share that with you guys every week because because of the freedom that I have, because of crypto, I go and travel and I do fun things with my family all the time. And there's this beautiful balance in my life. Screen time tech, get off the screen and go enjoy some sun. And I can't wait for the day that you guys teach me how to surf, man. I'm gonna shred that shit.
Yeah. I mean, that's really what it's all about. And, I mean, I feel like what we're doing on our show is, just trying to share that. I always break it back to like, we're just, we're not wizards. We're just four self-taught guys trying to learn from each other, And I just want to say, killer episode today. Really appreciate you guys showing up with such awesome topics. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.